sets of numbers. In this lesson, we are going to discuss the different sets of numbers. So to understand the different sets of numbers, let's have a chart. On top of the chart, we have here the real numbers. So what are examples of real numbers? Okay. Again, we have here the real numbers. So, some examples of real numbers. We have the positive number. So, positive number, like for example, positive 10. And we also have the negative numbers, like for example, negative 5. And then numbers under the square root sign. For example, the square root of positive 15. And we also have the negative fractions. So, for example, negative 1/4, and the positive fractions. We have here 3/5, and the number 0, as well as pi. So, all of these types of numbers are under the real numbers. But the real numbers are divided into two. So, real numbers, they are divided into two. Okay. So the first type of real numbers, we have the irrational. So irrational numbers. Okay, so let's just write irrational, but these are irrational numbers. Okay. What are examples of irrational numbers? So the examples of irrational numbers are the negative square root of a number. Let's say, for example, negative square root of 5. And we also have the pi. So pi is an example of an irrational number. And the positive square root of a number, like for example, the square root of 15. These are irrational numbers. And the opposite of irrational numbers, we have the rational. So we have here rational numbers. Let's just write rational. And we have some examples of rational numbers. We have the negative number, let's say negative 19. And positive numbers, let's say positive 25. The number 0. The negative fractions. We have here an example, negative 3/4. And also the positive fractions, let's say positive 2/5. So these different types of numbers, they are under the rational numbers. And rational numbers are still divided into two types. Okay. So this is again divided into two. So the first type of irrational numbers, we have the non-integers. Okay, so we have here the non-integers. So what are examples of non-integers? Okay, some examples of non-integers, we have the negative fractions. So this, we have here negative 1/2. And then the positive fractions. For example, 4/15. So the negative and the positive fractions, they belong to the non-integer types of numbers. And the opposite of non-integers, we have the whole numbers. Okay, or rather, the integers rather. So we have here the integers. And the integers, they are the positive and negative whole numbers. So our examples here, we have negative 5 for negative integer, and we also have 0. And then positive integer, so our example is positive 5. These are the integers and the non-integers. And then the integers, they are still divided into two. Okay, so let's write here first the integers. So we have here the integers, and the integers are divided into two. So what are these? Okay, so let's draw a line here first. So the first type of integers, they are the negative numbers. Okay, so the negative numbers is one type of integers. Okay, negative numbers. And of course, for example, our examples will be the negative numbers. Let's say negative 14, negative 7, and so on. So all negative numbers, they are called negative numbers. Okay, and the opposite of negative numbers, of course, are the positive numbers, or that is what we call the whole numbers. Okay, so they are the whole numbers. And examples of whole numbers, we have positive 9, 0 is a whole number, and positive 15. And then lastly, the whole numbers, there are two types of whole numbers. So let's divide this again. So the whole numbers, they are divided into two. The first type of the whole numbers are natural numbers. So we have here the natural numbers. Natural numbers. And some examples of natural numbers, we have the numbers that are not zero. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So all whole numbers that are not zero, they are called natural numbers. And the opposite of natural numbers is 0. So 0, it is separated from the natural numbers. So we have here 0. So these are the different types of the sets of numbers.